Hi, I'm Marie. Welcome to Marie's Kitchen. Today we're going to make homemade bread. Wait. Don't go anywhere. I promise it's not hard. This is no-knead bread. It's super simple, just a few ingredients, one bowl, and the result is incredible. People will think you worked hours on this bread, and it is just could not be easier. You can make it with your kids, and when it comes out, it's this warm, crusty loaf of fresh homemade bread, and the house smells good, and it just feels like everything is right in the world. So I can't wait to share this recipe with you. Let's get started. So I've been cooking for a long time, taught a lot of cooking classes, studied a lot of recipes, and I'll tell you what, I was never very good at making bread. I just didn't really get into it. It was time consuming and the results were never kind of what I hoped for. So kind of gave up on it. And then a few years ago, my dad, who's an incredible cook, he found a recipe in the New York Times for no-knead bread. And this was just such a discovery to find out that you can just mix the ingredients together, let the time do the work, and then you bake it the next day and it comes out a beautiful loaf of bread. I mean, this was just shocking. I had no idea this was possible. So sure enough, I tried the recipe and it turned out, I let Jack help me. He did the ingredients. He stirred it all together. I think he was about 3 or 4 at the time. And it was amazing. It was truly phenomenal. So we make this bread now, and we have made it. I've made it for gifts for neighbors, teachers' gifts around Christmas. Receiving warm bread from somebody is just like a piece of your heart. And I can't wait for you to try it in your own home and just experience what it's like to have a fresh loaf of bread coming out of the oven with very, very little effort. That's the best part, right? Very little effort. Homemade bread. The first thing you need is flour. I'm using unbleached bread flour from King Arthur, and this is a wonderful flour to use. If you don't have it around, then feel free to start with all-purpose flour, unbleached all-purpose flour, and you're welcome to use whole wheat flour as well. I would start with a half and half of white and wheat. The solid whole wheat bread can be very, just sort of a mouthful. And you need 3 cups of that. I'll spoon the flour in, and then I will level it off. I'm getting flour, all my salt. Level this off and put that in the bowl. 2nd cup of flour. There we go. And 1 more. So 3rd cup of flour. Now I'll add 1 teaspoon yeast. And be sure your yeast is fresh. It does have an expiration date. If it is past the expiration date, it will not rise very well or rise at all. And also you want to store your yeast in the refrigerator. Now we'll add 1.5 teaspoons salt. I'm using kosher salt here. You can use pink salt or table salt, whatever you have. We'll give this a little stir. So this is yeast, salt, and flour. Now, these next 2 ingredients are optional. I like to add a tablespoon of maple syrup, just for a little hint of sweetness. You don't have to if you're trying to avoid sugar. I add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And again, you could use melted butter, whatever you prefer. Now we're going to add water. It's warm tap water. Feels nice and warm, almost like a bath water, but it's not hot. If it's too hot, it can kill the yeast, so be careful of that. Definitely don't use boiling water or, really, really hot scalding water. So we'll pour the warm water in here and mix that together. And I use 1 1/4 cup of warm water. Some of the other recipes out there will use 1 3/4 cup water, and it makes it just very, 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 very sticky. And it's almost hard. It's just a mess, which is, it works very well, but I kind of prefer this way, a little less sticky. So we're just stirring it up, and it starts to get a little bit hard to stir. And then I'm going to use my hands just to bring it together to a ball. And this is great, so fun for kids. Let them play around with it, whatever they want to do, punch it, play with it, squish it, all the things that kids do. Don't let them take it out of the bowl though. One time I taught a cooking class to a group of Boy Scouts, and we made pizza dough, and there was pizza dough thrown. Because I guess that's kind of normal to toss pizza dough, but this was balls of dough being thrown. Love cooking with 9-year-old boys. So there's our ball of dough. Here is the tip my dad always gives me. He says, be sure to move the dough to a new bowl, a clean bowl. And what I do is pour some olive oil, drizzle it around the edges, and this will also help your bread from getting too sticky. It gives it a little kind of a gloss. So we'll take this ball of dough, put it over here in the olive oil, then I just kind of roll it around so everybody gets some. And you can kind of play with it a little, and you know what is really good for your hands? Olive oil. It always moisturizes my hands after I do this. So get a little olive oil on your hands. It's great. Now we have this lovely, manageable ball of dough. It's coated in olive oil. It's in this nice clean bowl. Now we'll cover it with a kitchen towel or plastic wrap and set it in a warm place. And that is where you'll let the dough rise. Rub. So now we have our dough here. I'm going to put the clean dish towel over it. I always laugh at that it's supposed to be a clean dish towel because yes, my dish towels are clean, but they're often stained. And so they may not look clean, but I promise these just came out of the wash. They are very clean. I'm just praying there's no visible stains on it. So we have our kitchen towel over the dough, and we'll set this aside in a warm spot. I'm going to find a spot where there's a lot of sun, just a warm place where your bread can rise. While our dough is rising, I'm going to grab a batch that I made yesterday and show you the rest of the steps. So let me get that over here. And this one I made yesterday morning. So it's been a full 24 hours, which is fine. I was hoping to make it sooner, but of course didn't work out because other things came up. So didn't make it, but that's what's so nice about this is it's very flexible, and the longer you leave it, actually the more kind of fermented and bubbly it will get. So lots of options. It's very flexible, and it's just not usually, you know, the way I think when I think about homemade bread is like, it's like scary and you got to do all this stuff right. And that's just not the way with this bread. You can just set it and forget it and literally forget it and pick it up the next morning and you have homemade bread. So I'm going to preheat the oven to 425. Now, time to move the dough to the baking sheet. We're just going to pull it out of the bowl. Just pull it away from the sides. It's sticky, yes. And you'll just kind of bring it, I fold it under and bring it into a ball like this. And just have a nice round ball of dough like that. We are going to just set this here. And then we're going to just let that bake. We'll let it bake for 45 minutes and your bread's ready. So that was pretty easy, wasn't it? Come on now. I remember I watched a cooking show with Jacques Pepin on it, and he said if he, you know, what would he want as his last meal or something? He said probably some very fine bread and butter. And it's just says a lot that a man who can cook anything really just wants some of life's most simple pleasures, homemade bread and butter. I'm just so excited to bring that to your kitchen, and I really hope you get to try it. So now we'll pop this in the oven for about 45 minutes. So excited. The bread is done. I've let it cool a little bit so it's not too hot to handle, and I'm going to put it over here on a cutting board and cut a slice. I can't wait to taste it. It's so gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Look at that, homemade bread. So easy. And I love the little crusty pieces. Oh my gosh. It's so good. Yum. So warm and delicious and fresh and beautiful. There's just nothing better. I'm just gonna be over here eating my bread. Oh my gosh, so good. Thanks so much for joining us on Marie's Kitchen. Today we made the easiest, no-knead homemade bread. Such a special gift, and it truly is a miracle that we can make this loaf of deliciousness out of just a few ingredients. Definitely like and subscribe so you can stay tuned for more videos, and do let me know in the comments if you make it. I would love to hear how it goes, and that's what this is about. It's about taking time to make really good food for people that you love. It's really what life is all about, and this is all happening just right here in our little kitchen. So I'm just really glad you're here to share it with me, and I can't wait to make more delicious creations with you in the future. So from my kitchen to yours, thank you. Bye-bye.